What's going on, my fellow rock and rollers? Don't forget to hit the bell notification icon to be notified every time I put out a new video on my channel. I had previously talked about electronic musician Moby, who made a ton of money off his album Play by not just selling 12 million copies of the disc through record stores, but by licensing every song off the album to advertisers, movies, and TV shows. Many accused him of being a sellout, but who is the first artist who used their music to sell commercial products to the public? Stay tuned to find out. These days, it's not uncommon to see rock music appearing in commercials. It's almost accepted now, with some notable moments including Taco Bell trying to sell fast food during the Super Bowl to a Guns N' Roses song, or Cadillac using Led Zeppelin tunes to hawk its cars, or Beatles songs selling Nike shoes, and the list goes on and on. But when did all this start? Well, people could think of the Velvet Underground founder and solo artist Lou Reed. In the autobiography Lou Reed, A Life, biographer Anthony DeCurtis claims it all started with Lou Reed, who not only licensed his hit song Walk on the Wild Side, but also made an appearance in a commercial to sell Honda scooters. To some, it wasn't a big deal, while others saw it as just another way musicians would sell out. Honda, 2 decades prior, had a massive amount of success with their advertising campaign that used the slogan, "You meet the nicest people." As the 80s rolled around, the company wanted to take a different approach, making people think that scooters were a cool way to get around large cities. In the 70s, the idea of using rock and roll to sell commercial products to the public was a ridiculous idea. To companies and advertisers, rock and roll wasn't mainstream enough, and by the next decade their attitudes had suddenly changed, as the counterculture that Reed represented was now absorbed by capitalism and the era of Reagan. In some respects, it was the Rolling Stones who opened the floodgates for rock and roll to be used to sell products, as in 1981 their tour at the time was sponsored by fragrance company Jovan, who paid the band $1 million to have their name splashed all over the tour. Some critics claimed it was the death of rock and roll, but it paved the way for Honda to have rock stars sell their products. Honda's campaign for their scooters at the time saw them reach out to musicians including Miles Davis, Grace Jones, and the band Devo, but the most notable part of the campaign involved Lou Reed. Lou Reed was a strange choice for Honda, given that typically advertisers want to use spokespeople with clean images, and Lou Reed wasn't that, as you can see in these short clips.
You want people to take drugs themselves? Is this perhaps why you sing about drugs?
Oh yeah, I want them to take drugs.
Are you happier as a brunette?
Are you happier as a schmuck?
I'm no schmuck.
During Honda's 1984 campaign, Lou Reed also released his 13th studio record titled New Sensations, which was well received by critics and audiences, and it represented his first album in 6 years that charted on the Billboard album charts. According to author Mick Wall's book, Lou Reed: The Life, New Sensations was so listenable that it attracted the attention of an advertising agency executive named Jim Riswold, who was then chief copywriter for the Oregon-based company Wieden & Kennedy. So he approached Lou Reed to help make an ad for Honda scooters. At the time, Riswold recalled, advertisers didn't put people in commercials who had a long history of drug addiction, and of course Lou Reed was a man at the time who at one point in his life was married to a man, and that man was a transvestite, so I guess you could say he wasn't your typical spokesman. But if you looked at who we were trying to sell scooters to, it was natural. Actually, when you look back at the commercial, it seems pretty damn tame, he'd remember. What's funny is that in Mick Wall's book, he points out that Reed's album New Sensations has the musician singing about a competing vehicle, the Kawasaki GP750 turbo motorcycle. Prior to bringing Reed on board, Riswold needed Honda's buy-in, so he arranged a meeting with the manufacturer where he brought nothing but a Lou Reed album and played the song Walk on the Wild Side in order to pitch the idea of having Lou Reed being the celebrity endorsement, and surprisingly the company agreed. Honda would announce in a press release their partnership with Lou Reed at the time, stating that the company would, and I quote, "take a walk on the wild side to portray the spirit and adventure of scootering. Reed is an innovator, one of the pioneers of new music. His music is unique and experimental, much like scooters," the statement would read. And the commercial featuring Reed used New York's Lower East Side as a backdrop, which seemed like a bizarre choice given the city's crime and drug-ridden reputation in the 80s. Using shots of the gritty streets of New York with squeegee men, policemen, graffiti, prostitutes, and the homeless, they would be interspersed with shots of Lou Reed. And Honda's scooters wouldn't make an appearance until the very end of the ad, when the musician would say the trademark line, "Don't settle for walking," as you can see here.
Hey, Don't settle for walking.
The advertising agency gave the commercial a grainy appearance to give it the feel of a documentary, and Lawrence Bridges, who was the editor for Michael Jackson's Beat It video, was brought in to put everything together. Bridges was initially intimidated at the idea of editing a commercial to Lou Reed's 1972 track, revealing the generation being advertised to at this point in time was probably the most cynical and suspicious toward the medium to date, and moreover, I had the monumental piece of music that I had to honor. For me, the answer was to make it into an underground film. Bridges would use a lot of what he learned helping piece together videos for MTV using jump cuts and flash frames. It was a standard technique that editors used when they had less footage than the actual length of the video. And with the editing process complete, Bridges and his partners would meet once more with the marketing people at Honda, with him remembering the client was a very shrewd, practical person, and I knew that he was averse to conspicuously daring creative work. This gritty, almost avant-garde spot set in the pre-gentrified Lower Manhattan, with every art film trope you could imagine, might have put considerable demands on his charm. Bridges was shocked by Honda's reaction, as when the commercial finished playing during the meeting, the marketing manager exclaimed, "We need to be that scooter company." Sadly, the campaign was a failure as a young generation of Americans weren't interested in Honda's product. According to the book Where the Suckers Moon, The Life and Death of an Advertising Campaign, they would state the Lou Reed commercial did little for Honda. 3 years later, the model of scooter Honda used in the Lou Reed commercial was discontinued. A year or so following the Honda commercials, Reed moved on to now promoting American Express cards, and the musician was enjoying some of the most positive press coverage of his career at that point in time. Decades after the campaign aired, Lou Reed would state that musicians should no longer shirk the associations with the advertising world, saying, "It used to be that being involved in advertising was selling out, but now it's the opposite." Asked whether young people want to choose advertising or music for a career these days, he would respond, "Neither if you're in it for the money. If it was about the money, you'd be a politician," he would tell a room full of journalists in France. That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. We'll see you again tomorrow on Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.